Hey friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share these What's for Dinner videos every Sunday to hopefully motivate you to cook more for your family and I give you some new meal ideas. We had some good dinners this week. I was trying to mainly focus on using up some stuff from my freezer that had been in there for a while before I made a trip to Sam's Club. I kind of want to clear that out. So let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night, I pulled some ham out of the freezer to make some ham and cheese sliders. This ham was left over, I believe, from Christmas, and I always like to use leftover ham for sliders because we love them. So I'm using these brioche rolls from Aldi, and I'm cutting them in half horizontally to make them into little slider buns, and then I'm going to top them with the ham and some cheese and then put the tops back on, and then I mix together a little bit of melted butter, Worcestershire sauce, and Dijon mustard, and then brush that over the tops of the rolls, and then this goes in the oven on 350 for 25 minutes, and then I take the foil off and put it back in there for another 5. These are super simple to make, and you could mix it up with different meats. We do like hot Italian sliders a lot of the time with like pepperoni and salami and like mozzarella cheese. You can switch up your meats, switch up your cheeses, and then you can also like switch up what you brush it with. When I do like the Italian ones, I usually do like butter and Italian seasoning. You can use like everything but the bagel seasoning in it too. That's really good. So sliders are like really versatile. To go with them, we usually do salad or some fresh veggies. This night I didn't feel like pulling out all the salad stuff, so we just did some fresh veggies on the side. Saturday night, I pulled out some chicken thighs that had been in the freezer for a little while. I made those in the air fryer, and then I made a recipe up kind of for this cheesy broccoli rice in the Instant Pot. So in the Instant Pot, I have 2 cups of washed rice, and then I'm doing 2 cups of water. And then I added some pepper, some garlic, and some onion salt, and then some of the Knorr chicken bouillon to turn that into chicken broth. That's why I didn't add any additional salt, because I'm already using onion salt in the Knorr chicken bouillon, which is kind of salty. And then I did about a tablespoon of butter, and I mixed that together. And then I topped that with 1 head of broccoli that I chopped up. And then I put the lid on the Instant Pot and cooked this on manual high pressure for 5 minutes, and then I let it do a natural release for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, I released any remaining steam, and then I went in and fluffed my rice, and then I added my cheese. I chose to use 2 packets of the Velveeta cheese sauce, and I just mixed that around until it was fully incorporated, and then this was ready to eat. Now for my chicken thighs, I seasoned them on both sides with some onion salt, garlic powder, salt, pepper, and paprika, and then I sprayed them with a little bit of olive oil cooking spray. I did that on both sides, and I start them in the air fryer with the skin side down, and then I flip them over halfway through and do them with the skin side up. That way the skin can get nice and crispy, and I usually do about 375 for 15 minutes. Flip them over, do them for another 15 minutes, but you just want to cook them until they reach the proper internal temperature. I have a digital kitchen thermometer that I use pretty often when I cook like chicken thighs, because it's really hard for me to tell when chicken thighs are done. And here is dinner to go with it. We just had some applesauce because I felt like we needed something else to go with it. Or I had applesauce, the kids had fruit cups. Yeah, the rice was really good. I just kind of winged it and made some stuff up, but it turned out really good, and the chicken is good. I always do chicken that way in the air fryer. Sunday night was my uncle's birthday, and I made a huge pot of Brunswick Stew for everybody to eat. I had him over, my brother over, and then of course we had Andy, myself, and the kids. And so I have shared my Brunswick Stew recipe before, but I kind of doubled it this time because I had a lot of meat in the freezer that I wanted to use up. So I will have the directions listed out down below for y'all if you are interested in trying it. I started by melting some butter in my Dutch oven, and then I used that to cook up some onion and some minced garlic. And I cooked that just until the onion was soft. And then I was just kind of using what I had on hand. I was out of tomato sauce, so I left that out this time. And I also decided to not use any of the frozen veggies and to just use some cans of mixed veggies this time. So I added 2 cans of diced tomatoes and then a can of tomato paste since I was out of tomato sauce. I used 2 cups of barbecue sauce. I used 2 different kinds this time. One of them was the buffalo barbecue sauce that I bought last week at Aldi that I was interested in trying. It was really good. I liked it in this. And I just used that in place of the barbecue sauce and the hot sauce that the recipe calls for. And then I did 6 cups of chicken broth, or 6 cups of water, and the Knorr chicken broth. And then I brought that to a simmer and let it simmer for 15 minutes. And then after the 15 minutes, I added in my 2 cans of mixed vegetables and all of my meat. I had 1 bag of turkey left over from Christmas that I added in, some barbecue pulled pork that I added, and then we had ribs like at the end of last week. And I cut up the meat that was left on some of those ribs that we didn't eat and put that meat in here as well. So there was lots of meat in it. And then for seasonings, I seasoned it with some salt and pepper and some thyme. And then I just let that simmer on a medium-low heat for at least 15 more minutes or until you're ready to serve. And then we had this with some Cheddar Bay biscuits. I always do some sort of bread with it, but I had a box of Cheddar Bay biscuits, so I made those. And then here is the cake that I made, which was actually terrible. It was a box of Pillsbury cinnamon roll cake mix and frosting. And there was something wrong with that frosting. It tasted so bad. We did not finish this cake. Most of it went in the trash. Monday night we had crockpot cube steak and gravy over egg noodles. This recipe is really easy to put together and like really good. So in my crock pot, I am adding 2 cans of cream of chicken, 1 packet of Lipton onion soup mix, and 1 cup of beef broth, or I did 1 cup of water and 1 teaspoon of beef bouillon. And then I just whisked that together, and then I put my cube steak in here. Mine was still mostly frozen, and it turned out fine. I cooked this on high for 4 hours, and then it was perfectly cooked, ready to eat. So when we came home, I just used a little spatula and kind of like separated the pieces of meat. They kind of like stuck together more because they were frozen, so it does turn out a little bit better if you cook it like from thawed out, but it still tasted delicious. And to kind of thicken up that gravy, I just whisked in a little bit of cornstarch and water, like a little cornstarch slurry. I did about a tablespoon of water and a tablespoon of cornstarch, and then whisk that in and let it sit, and it'll like thicken up. And I let that thicken up while I cooked up a bag of egg noodles. So then I just served this on top of some egg noodles, and it was delicious. We have had this before, and it's a pretty good crock pot meal. Okay, so today's Tuesday, and I didn't feel like cooking dinner. It's 7:30. Andy and I aren't very hungry. We had like a late lunch of pizza after I got back from Sam's Club today, but the kids are hungry, so I was like, you just want to eat whatever you want? And they said yes, and they chose ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and meatballs. So that is what they are having for dinner, and if I remember later when me and Andy eat something, I will show that to you. So I didn't remember to film what me and Andy had. He just had the leftover cube steak from the night before, and I just ate more pizza that was left over from lunch. Wednesday night, I made a sausage and veggie sheet pan dinner. This is something I used to make all the time, but haven't made in a while. So I started off with a 2-pound bag of baby potatoes, and I'm just cutting those up after I wash them. I cut most of them in quarters, but some of them I cut in like 6. I just wanted them all to be about the same size. And then I'm also going to peel and thinly slice some carrots. I cut up a head of broccoli, and then 1 pound link of sausage I sliced up as well. And I'm just adding all of that to a sheet pan as I prepare it. Once I had that all in the sheet pan, I seasoned it with some salt, pepper, and some garlic powder, and then I drizzled on a little bit of olive oil and then a bunch of the Aldi version of the Olive Garden Italian dressing. And then I just tossed that all around, making sure everything was coated, and then spread it out in a nice, flat, even layer. And then this went in the oven on 425 for 20 minutes, and then after the 20 minutes, I pulled it out and added on some grape tomatoes, and then it gave it all a good toss again, and then stuck it back in the oven for about another 20 minutes until my potatoes and carrots were tender. And then after that, I added on some freshly grated Parmesan cheese and stuck it back in the oven for like 3 to 5 minutes, just until that cheese was like nice and melted. And that's it. This recipe is like super simple. It's basically just throw everything on the sheet pan. And you could add the tomatoes all the way at the beginning, but they will like completely fall apart if you do that. That's why I add them about halfway through, so they kind of hold together a little bit better. But they still get nice and soft, and everything gets soft, and it is delicious. You could serve this with rice if you wanted to. I just had some croissants from Sam's Club, so we just ate those on the side with this, and that was dinner. And finally, our last meal of the week was just some chili mac. I made some mac and cheese in the Instant Pot the way I always make mac and cheese in the Instant Pot, and then I just added some chili to it. This was chili that I had in the freezer. Again, I was trying to work through a lot of the stuff that we had in our freezer, just to kind of clear it out to get all new fresh stuff in there. So I will have both the recipes to my chili and to the mac and cheese down below, and then you just mix them together, and then you've got chili mac. So that was our quick and easy dinner for Thursday, but that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner video. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you leave me a smiley face emoji down there if you made it all the way to the end, and let me know if you plan on trying any of these recipes. I hope y'all have a great week, and I will see y'all on the next one. Bye.